Morning.
Some
Problem zero with my camera. Hold on just a
We ready to start?
Yeah, it's now 9:30. Are you ready to begin? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me, Maureen?
I can hear you now,
Okay.
but it's very low.
Okay, it is now 9:30. Are we ready to begin?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Maureen McNeil. I'll be the zoning hearing examiner today, and it is March 18th, 2026. We're here on a request to develop approximately 43.73 acres of land in the AR zone, formerly known as the RA zone, as a planned retirement community. And we will be evaluating this in accordance with the terms of the prior zoning ordinance as allowed in the current zoning ordinance. I am going to let Mr. Haller fill in a little bit more about the application because I believe the applicants have changed, and I just want to make that clear on the record. And then, but before we do that, will council identify themselves for the record?
Good morning, Madam Examiner. For the record, my name is Thomas Haller. I'm an attorney with offices here in Largo with the law firm of Gibbs and Haller.
Good morning. People zoning council. 1 second.
Okay. Mr. Haller, if you could just describe again who the applicants are for this matter and the address of the property. Thanks.
Now you're challenging me. Well, good morning again, Madam Examiner, and just by way of opening comments, this special exception 23003 is an application for development of a planned retirement community on 43.7 acres of land, which is located off of in the Woodyard Road corridor in Upper Marlboro. A total of 126 attached villa homes are proposed. It's as noted in the record, a preliminary plan of subdivision, which is referenced as 4-24028, was approved by the planning board on April 24th, 2025 to establish the lotting pattern, which is now reflected on the special exception site plan. I would like to note, as a preliminary matter, and as you noted, that the time the application was filed, the contract purchaser and prospective home builder was NVR. They had a contract to purchase and then to develop the property from the existing property owners, which are Meridian Hill Partners LLC. However, NVR terminated the contract and are no longer going to be the builders in the subdivision. As Mr. Lansing with Meridian Hill Partners will testify, the ownership group is continuing to move forward with the application and is in the final stages of negotiating a purchase and sale agreement with Lennar Homes. And Mr. Ryan Dinko is here to testify on behalf of Lennar Homes. So I have submitted into the record as exhibit, let me find it here, 53, revised application showing Meridian Hill Partners LLC as the owner and the applicant, And then once the final contract is signed with Lennar, the record will be updated to include the necessary ethics affidavits to reflect their interest as a contract purchaser. You asked me to give you the address of the property, and give me 1 second and I will see if I can do that. It's showing up as 6505 Johensu Drive, Johensu Drive in Upper Marlboro.
Thank you. And before you go further, is there anyone here in opposition to the request? If so, I need you to come on camera.
Hello, I am in opposition to the request and I am going to come on camera. Hello, my name is Tamika Pinckney Jackowitz, and I am a resident of Melwood Springs neighborhood. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I want to be clear that my opposition is not rooted in a lack of compassion for seniors. It is quite the opposite. My concern is that Prince George's County is currently struggling to adequately support the residents it already has, particularly our
Okay,
elderly
I'm
population.
so sorry, Ms. Pinckney
Mhm.
Jackowitz. I just needed to see you to let you know that whenever anyone testifies, if you want to ask questions of them, let us know in the chat, because you have a right to ask questions of any of the witnesses. And you'll have an opportunity to also be sworn in as a witness and explain your concerns. If you can't be here with us all day and all you want to do is explain your concerns, we can go out of order if that's what you prefer.
Can we please, it's very quick.
Okay,
If
hold
you
1
can.
second. You have no objection, do you, Mr. Howler?
I have no objection, Madam
Or
Executive.
Mr. Brown?
No objection.
Okay.
Thank you.
So raise your right hand, and do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you shall give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. State your name again and address, and then tell us what you want to about this request.
Okay, my name is Tamika Pinckney Jackowitz. My address is 10303 Bunchberry Lane, Upper Marlboro, Maryland, 20772. And I appreciate you all allowing me to speak today. But my concern is that PG County is currently struggling to adequately support residents it already has, particularly our elderly population. So before introducing a new retirement community, I feel like we must address the very real and ongoing gaps in services and infrastructure that are already impacting vulnerable residents. For example, the massive snowstorm that we recently had, my neighborhood and many others went nearly a full week without proper snow removal. This wasn't just an inconvenience. Elderly residents were effectively trapped in their homes, unable to access medication, attend medical appointments, or receive essential care. And I know this because my mom lives with me and my husband, and she is an elderly resident, and we had these issues because we could not even leave our residence. However, I do know we have programs like the Silver Shovels Initiative, which was intended to support our seniors, but it was limited in scope and left many residents without assistance due to cutoffs and capacity issues. This raises a serious question. If existing programs cannot meet current demand, how will the county responsibly support an increased senior population? Approving a new retirement community without first strengthening the infrastructure, emergency response, and senior support services creates a situation where we are setting future residents up for the same, if not worse, conditions. I don't believe that this was responsible planning. This is expansion without sustainability. And I also want to acknowledge that this project is being led by a church, which I respect, as I respect it rooted in service. However, good intentions do not replace the need for proper planning, infrastructure readiness, and long-term support systems. So I just want to urge the county to pause this development and conduct an assessment of how to handle emergency response capabilities, especially since we're talking about a retirement community where elderly people are going to be there, and they're going to need county services at some point. So that is my only concern, is for the elderly people and the elderly citizens that are going to be purchasing homes in this community. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
Sure, thank you. Does anyone have any questions, Mr. Heller?
No, ma'am, I do not have any questions.
Okay, Mr. Brown?
Yes, good morning, Ms. Pinckney Jackowitz.
Mhm.
Can you tell us, I'm not sure I heard it, how close you live to the subject property?
I am in Melwood Springs, and so it's going to be right next to my community, which is why I'm thoroughly concerned for the elderly citizens. When I found out it was a retirement community, and seeing the response, especially from that massive snowstorm we had, and a lot of elderly citizens could not leave their homes to get medication. They could not leave. Yes.
I hear you. I don't disagree with anything that you said, but you understand a lot of the issues you raised today are policy issues that are directly to be related to the county council, as opposed to a specific case, a land use planning zoning case.
Okay.
And so what I would suggest that you do, and you probably already have done it, is that you contact the council member that represents the district where your property is located concerning all of the issues that you just raised, which are legitimate issues, and they are problems, there's no doubt about it, but it does not go to the issue of this particular project, unfortunately. But please stay involved in this case, and you'll continue to get notices as this case proceeds, all right?
Thank you.
My name is Diane Pinckney. Can anyone hear me?
Is that Mom?
That is my mother.
Okay, so
at another location.
Can
You have to come on camera. You have to
I
come
am
on
having
camera.
a hard time. Let me see. Let me see if I can.
There you are. You are on camera.
I'm there?
There you are.
Okay, great.
So Miss Diane Pinckney, do you
Yes.
swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so state your name one more time and your address.
My name is Diane Pinckney. My address is 10303 Bunchberry Lane, Upper Marlboro, Maryland, 20772.
Okay, so tell us what you want us to know about this request.
I think it's ridiculous. I really think that you're doing too much building around here. It is too many negative things are now happening around here. I maybe need to talk to who Stan suggests that my daughter talk to, but because of them building that gasoline station, and now they're going to build all of these villas for 55 plus, it is crazy. It is ridiculous. I do not want all of that around my area where I live. I am happy where I live. How about the animals? How about the habitat? This is ridiculous. Where are our deer going? Where are the wildlife going? You're not even thinking about that. Every tree that's being knocked down, you're trying to put a house there. And I think it's just massively ridiculous. And how are we getting, are you thinking about widening the streets? I mean, this is crazy. I don't think anyone that wherever you live would like to have a bunch of homes and a bunch of ridiculous gasoline stations and all of this ridiculous stuff around their area. I've been here 30 plus years, and it has been wonderful until you all decided to do all of this building. And I'm against it. I am so against it. Last Sunday, we did not even have electricity because what the teenagers are doing, what young people are doing, is going to the gasoline station, and at night, they're speeding up and down Woodyard Road. They knocked one of the poles down for our electricity, and we had no electricity for hours. So, would you want that in your community?
Does anyone have any cross-examination?
No,
Thank you very much for your comments. And as I indicated to your daughter, if you guys stay in contact with the council members, that's where you definitely should relay these types of issues. But it will be in this record as well. Thank you.
Stan, let me ask you something. Would you want that in your neighborhood? Could you answer that for me?
No, the issues that you are raising, no one would want that in their neighborhood. I agree with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wait a minute. I mean, just to clarify the record, you don't want, well, you're on the OD there, but were you talking about the speeding and knocking down?
Yeah, I was
I mean,
talking
you need to
about,
clarify.
yeah, I'm talking about the teenagers and riding up and down the road, correct.
Okay.
Well, the issue is that only occurred due to the gas station that was recently built, and now they're meeting up on and they're basically essentially it's criminal. They're speeding up and down the roads, and it obviously led to not just someone getting seriously injured, but they hit a power pole, and we didn't have power from, I don't know, 3 a.m. until like 2:30 the same day, 2:30 p.m. So that's what my mother is referring to. But my main issue is not just all the building, but also the lack of planning for the infrastructure that's being built. It's the lack of planning, in my personal opinion. And if you're going to keep building a lot of infrastructure, then you need to have proper planning. And you also need to have planning as far as crime and also your residents. Like, we're not receiving the services that we should be receiving. And we're not receiving that now. So placing the elderly or retirement community in our area, in our zone, so to speak, is, in my personal opinion, it's like what my mom said, it's ridiculous and it's absolutely absurd. It's just lack of planning, and it's being built by a church. And I'm thinking to myself, and I would think any church would want their residents especially their elderly population, to be in a community that is with proper planning, safe, and in an area where they can receive help if they have medical issues or they have medical services that need to be rendered. And so I just am like, does this church not know what they're doing? And if they are listening, you might want to rethink this for your elderly population. And if their elderly members are listening, you might want to rethink buying a house in this area until they can properly plan and properly take care of the residences that are currently paying taxes. Massive amount of taxes for the state of Maryland and PG County, and especially in our area. It is ridiculous. Like my mom said, it is ridiculous. So I really wanted to come on and just host my concerns and tell my concerns, and I appreciate the opportunity. you all to allow me to do that. So thank you.
Of course, and I just have one question, but Mr. Haller will explain it better to me as well. But if I were on Osborne Road going toward Woodyard,
Are you,
and
excuse me, I have a question. Are you a church member? Because I see it says Maureen McNeil ZHE. Are you one of the
no, that's on the zoning hearing exam. I'm holding this here.
zoning here? Okay, that's an acronym.
I am a church member, but not of this church. Okay. All right, back to this. If you're on Osborne Road near that Royal Farm,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
make a left on Woodyard. How close is your development? Where are you along? Are you along Woodyard? Where is Millwood?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We are right next to it. If you, I'm trying to think. It's not. How can I describe how to? I'm right off of Mom, what's the name of Dagon Street? I'm having a
Woodyard Road.
yeah, no, not Woodyard, but the street to turn off of Woodyard. I can't think of it right now.
Okay, but Tom, you
Perrywood.
know
Thank you, Robert.
Oh, that's where Perrywood is.
Thank you,
Okay.
Robert.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate you. Yeah, we, Madam Examiner, we're about 4,000 feet, a little bit less than a mile south of where that gas station is they're referring to.
Oh, okay. I had you much further. I apologize. I thought you were over
No,
near
we're
that.
right.
I thought you were near that little pond where people would fish and park and planning with stock.
We are near there.
Yes, we are.
All right, you'll tell me more. Okay, I just want to picture this.
Yes, we are near. We are near that pond, just like the gentleman Tom stated. But that's why we know, and we know the history of that area. So we have seen it go from absolutely amazing to questionable infrastructure and a lack of planning, and it's turning into something, and I already know it's not headed down a positive direction. And my issue is I want people to be invested in PG County and in our communities, just like my family has been invested in our communities. And I feel like a lot of people are making planning and adjustments, and they have no investment in our community whatsoever. They do not live in our, they either don't live in our community. Like my mom was like, would you want that in your neighborhood? No, you would not want these certain things to be happening in your neighborhood. And if you, yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Pinkney, I think I get the gist of your concerns, and
Thank you.
you have the right to keep listening if you all can stay. If not, you are persons of record now. You'll get a copy of whatever decision comes out, and if you're not don't agree with it, you have a right to appeal it as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you both for coming here today.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Haller.
Thank you, Madam Examiner. So just before I call my first witness, I just want to provide for the examiner the proposed order of the witnesses. I have 5 witnesses this morning. I have Mr. Will Lansing, who is a representative of Meridian Health Partners, Mr. Ryan Linko with Lennar, Mr. Michael Lenhart with Lenhart Traffic Consulting, Mr. Edward Steer with Polestar, who prepared our marketing analysis, and Mr. Ken Dunn with Soltez. So I'd like to begin by calling our first witness, which is Mr. Will Lansing.
I don't know if I see Mr. Lansing yet, but Mr. Lansing, do you swear, oh, there you are. Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you shall give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Madam Examiner, yes, I do.
Thank you, Mr. Lansing. Could you please state your full name and business address for the record?
Yes, William Lansing, business address 1101 Connecticut Avenue Northwest, Suite 450, Washington, D.C. 20036.
And what is your trade or occupation?
I'm a real estate developer.
And how long have you been engaged in the field of real estate development?
Since around 2008, so approximately 18 years.
Okay, and do you have an ownership interest in the property, which is the subject of today's special exception hearing?
Yes, I do. I am the managing member of Meridian Hill Partners LLC, which is the owner of the property.
Okay, and is Meridian Hill Partners LLC an entity in good standing in the state of Maryland?
It is, yes.
Madam Examiner, in the record is Exhibit 46, which is also on page 75 of binder number 2 It's a copy of the certificate of good standing. I don't know if you need to have it pulled up, but that document is in the record. If you would like me to have it pulled up and have Mr. Lansing authenticate it, I can. It's up to you.
Mr. Lansing is under oath and the document speaks for itself, so you do not have to pull it up. But I would note, and I should have said that earlier. I should have said that earlier, that we have 54 pre-filed exhibits, and unless you or Stan or someone else objects to any of these exhibits, they're all part of this record.
Thank you very much. Now, let me, for administrative purposes, when I want to refer to a record, would that be pulled up by your staff?
Yes.
Okay. So I can, when I refer to a record, I can refer to it by exhibit, and I also have the page number in each binder to assist in
Okay.
locating it.
For staff, they probably love the page number, but for me, I want to hear the exhibit number too.
Oh, I'll
'cause
give you- I have both.
exhibits.
I have,
Thank you.
okay. All right, thank you. So, Mr. Lansing, can you just explain briefly how you became involved with this project?
Certainly. So Meridian Hill Baptist Church, who is the former landowner here, who CDCs as a partner in this venture with us, is a church that our group has done business with through the years on various projects. And for this particular piece of land, for as long as they've owned it, been involved in it, it has always been their mission for the property to provide impactful housing to the community, really focused on the aging population. And so as part of our involvement, as we became involved in this with the church, we committed to advancing the planning, the entitlement, and the development of the housing on the property that would provide the highest and best use for the local community. And we've been advancing those efforts ever since together with Meridian Hill Baptist Church.
Thank you. And so when Ms. Pigney Jackowitz referenced the church, the church she's referring to is Meridian Hill Baptist Church.
It is, that's correct, yes.
Okay, and as you indicated, they were the former owners of the property, and Meridian Hill Partners acquired the property from them.
Correct, and they still remain a partner in the project with us.
And is that ownership interest exceed 5% of the project?
It does not, no.
Okay. So please briefly describe the development proposal and the target market for the proposed community.
Certainly. So the proposal is for the development of 126 attached town villas, which are designed for age-restricted residents, 55 years and older. Additionally, there is a clubhouse that provides amenities to the residents of the community.
Okay, and could you address how access is proposed to be provided to this retirement community?
Certainly. For those that know the property well, the property has frontage on really two rights-of-way, one through Joensuu Drive and another through Arethusa. Now, anybody who's traveled down Joensuu can see that it's really barely a road. And it's certainly not a road that's built to public standard. So one of the first steps of our team was to determine the best and most feasible ways to access the property. We had our civil engineer, Soltez, who I think is talking here later in the hearing. Their team fully evaluated how to access the community by looking at access down both Joensuu Drive and by way of connection to Arethusa Drive through the neighboring subdivision. The analysis on Joensuu Drive is that it would be almost impossible, given a series of constraints, namely, the current width of the road would require complete reconstruction to achieve Department of Transportation standards, which was not achievable given that the available right-of-way and the easements that we would have to secure. We did not see a way to get those. Additionally, the topography of the current travel path of Joensuu would make it extremely cost prohibitive to fill, grade, and level it as needed for the proper roadway. So through this analysis, the team determined that Arethusa was the only feasible option from an engineering perspective to provide access to the development.
Okay, and Arethusa is a roadway that exists in the abutting Melwood Springs community, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
So as a result of your conclusion, based on these studies, that the only feasible means of access was through Arethusa, did you reach out to the adjacent community to discuss this?
We did. We always make it a habit to, we want to be very early on with the surrounding neighbors that may be impacted by our developments. And so we started very early on engaging with Melwood Springs. We engaged GS Proctor and Associates to conduct community outreach for the team. And we had, we had multiple meetings with the neighbors to discuss this access going through the community.
Okay, and did those meetings that you had with the community ultimately result in the execution of a development cooperation agreement?
Yes, it did.
Okay, I'd like to refer to Exhibit 51, which is on page 83 of Binder 2. Can that be pulled up?
Or you say Exhibit 51. What page?
You can just put it on the first page for now.
Okay. Do you see the exhibit?
It hasn't popped up yet. There it is.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Lansing, on the screen is a document that's entitled Development Cooperation Agreement. And it reflects being recorded in the land records at book 50763, page 338. Is that the Development Cooperation Agreement that you executed with the Melwood Community Association?
It is, yes.
Okay, and I'd like to ask you a couple questions about what's included in that agreement. First, is it possible for you to extend Arethusa Lane from its current terminus to access the property which is being developed in accordance with this special exception application without obtaining grading easements from the abutting property owners?
No. Although Arethusa is dedicated to our property, we cannot build it and stay within the dedicated area. We will need grading easements over the land on either side of Arethusa Lane to construct it.
Okay, and who owns the land that abuts the dedicated right-of-way for Arethusa Lane?
It's the Melwood Community Association, HOA.
Okay, and does the Development Cooperation Agreement include an agreement for the Community Association to execute the grading easements that are necessary to build a road?
Yes, it does.
During your discussions with the Community Association, did they ask you to evaluate and provide a conceptual grading plan to show the extent of the easement that would be needed to build the road?
Yes, they did.
And did you have Soltes prepare a conceptual grading exhibit?
Yes, we did.
And is that exhibit attached to the Development Cooperation Agreement?
Yes, it is.
I'd like to refer to, if you could pull to, I guess it's the last page of the Development Cooperation Agreement, page 15, maybe it's page 14. So it'd be the next page, page 15. Okay, is this the document that's up there? Is that the proposed grading conceptual grading plan for the construction of the road?
Yes.
Okay. In your conversations with the community association, did they also express concern about accommodating the traffic that would be generated by this community and coming through their development?
Yes, they were, the concerns were really centered around traffic leaving their community at the intersection of Perrywood and Woodyard.
And as a result of those concerns, did you ask Lenhart Traffic Consulting to analyze the intersection to see if there was an improvement that could assist in addressing those concerns?
We did, yes, we engaged Lenhart Traffic Consulting for that purpose.
And was he able to identify an improvement to that intersection?
He did. His analysis determined that we could help greatly reduce the queuing line exiting the neighborhood if we widened Perrywood Road to 40 feet and then were able to create both a right and a left turn lane leaving the neighborhood.
Okay, and if I could ask if you could go to page 14 of that document. There it is. The improvement that you just referenced, is that depicted on Exhibit C that's attached to the Development Cooperation Agreement?
It is, that's correct, yes.
And is Meridian Health Partners agreeable to including that as a condition of the approval of the special exception?
Yes, we are.
I'd like to ask if you could pull up Exhibit 49. Mr. Lansing, you indicated that you'd be willing to accept a condition that would require the implementation of the road improvement that you committed to make to the community association. On the screen for a brief second was Exhibit 49. When it comes back up, I'll ask if you can identify that. There you go. And could you please identify this exhibit?
Yes, this is the part of the Development Cooperation Agreement that commits us to those conditions.
Okay, and are you asking the zoning hearing examiner to incorporate this condition in any recommendation of approval that would be made in this case?
Yes.
Thank you. Does the Development Cooperation Agreement include any other provisions that are intended to benefit the Melwood Springs community?
It does. In discussions with the community, it was also noted and determined that they do not have a community building or other meeting space. And so this Development Cooperation Agreement also provides the community access to our community building, which is being constructed for up to 6 times a year to conduct community meetings or other community events.
And the agreement obligates you to include that commitment in the community association documents. Is that correct?
It does, yes, correct.
Are you familiar with the criteria for approval of a planned retirement community that's set forth in the Prince George's County Code?
Yes, generally familiar with the requirements.
Okay, well, let me specifically ask you about section 27-395A5, which requires that age restrictions in conformance with the Federal Fair Housing Act be set forth in covenants submitted with the application and approved by the district council. If I could ask if you pull up Exhibit 12. Are you familiar with the requirement to record covenants with restricting the age of the residents?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And I'm asking her to pull up Exhibit 12. And ask if you can identify this document.
Yes, the Declaration of Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions, yes.
Okay, and that document was executed and submitted with the application?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And also, are you familiar with section 27-395A6, which requires the covenants be recorded guaranteeing the perpetual maintenance and the community's right to use the recreational facilities?
Yes, the covenants which address the minimum age requirements also require the maintenance of the recreational facilities. We will also create a homeowners association, which will include the maintenance of all recreational facilities. This is also a condition of the preliminary plan of subdivision project.
Okay. And those, as I recall, those covenants are, the HOA is required to be established prior to the recordation of the final plat. Is that correct?
Yes.
So let me discuss the applicant issue that we addressed previously. At the time this application was filed, the property was under contract with NVR Ryan Homes. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
And they were listed as the applicant as well. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Are they still the contract purchaser?
No, they're not.
Approximately when did they terminate the contract?
They terminated on or about December 30th, 2025.
Okay, and since that time, have you been in discussions with another prospective contract purchaser?
Yes, after MVR terminated, we began discussions with Lennar. We've been advancing discussions for them to be the builder of the community. And we anticipate a signed contract with them within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, is a representative of Lennar here today to address their interest in the property and the units that they wish to build?
Yes, Ryan Dinko is here and will testify on behalf of Lennar.
Okay, and have you had an opportunity to review the conditions that were recommended by the staff of the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission in the staff report, which is in the record? This case, it's references Exhibit 28.
Yes, I have.
And are there any conditions which you have any objection to?
No, we are willing to abide by all the conditions. However, I would note that Condition 4 recommends modifications to the architecture submitted by NVR. In fact, I think that was one of the primary reasons that NVR dropped the contract with us, is they did not agree with some of those conditions and were not willing to make all the required changes. Lennar's architecture is different than NVR's, and we believe that it addresses all the staff's concerns. We provided these conditions to Lennar to ensure that their architecture addressed these design issues. And Mr. Dinko can address the proposed architecture further.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions of Mr. Lansing at this time.
Mr. Brown?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Lansing.
Mr. Brown, good morning.
Just a couple of questions here.
Sure.
You testified about the applicant's proposed transportation condition as it relates to Woodyard Road and Perrywood Road in the Melwood Community HOA.
Yes, sir.
The proposed traffic improvements at that intersection, have they been reviewed by DPW&T? I'm assuming Woodyard Road is a county road, is it not?
Yes, I imagine it is, yeah. And yes.
It's a state road,
State road? All right, so,
Woodyard, yes.
all right, so has State Highway Administration reviewed the proposal to improve that intersection?
Ms. Brown, I mean to interrupt, but Mr. Lenhart is here to address the construction of that improvement. I mean, I don't know that Mr. Lansing knows.
All right.
He answered all your questions, but you're happy to keep asking him.
Yeah, no, we'll have Mr. Lenhart deal with that. In addition, though, that particular intersection, of course, is off-site, and it's not something that the examiner or the council can require the applicant to do. So you are requesting or proffering that the condition that you're proposing, the applicant's proposed transportation condition, be added as a condition to this case if it were approved. Is that not correct?
Yes, sir, I believe that's correct.
And then with regards to condition number 4, which you did not have an objection to as the applicant, but you indicated NVR had an objection to it, and that's why they terminated the contract. And Lennar, who will testify later, as I understand your testimony, has architectural plans that will be consistent with condition number 4. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, I believe that's correct.
And do we have in this record as of today, Lennar's proposed architectural renderings?
I believe we do, and I'd have to defer to Tom, but I believe those made it into the record. Is that right, Tom?
Yes, they were submitted.
Okay, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Which exhibit number is that?
That would be exhibits 42, 43, and 44. And then in addition, there were some black and white renderings that were submitted that are exhibit 54.
All right. And also, I heard you testify, and again, I'm not sure I understood it, but you mentioned two different homeowners associations. The one homeowners association related to the Woodyard Road, Perrywood Drive Road. What is the name of that HOA?
Melwood Springs.
That is Melwood Springs.
Yes,
And
sir.
that is the entity that you have the development cooperation agreement.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
All right, and then there's another property owner or property owners on the north side of your property in sort of the little cul-de-sac, if you will. Is that a separate HOA or are those just individual lots on Johensu Drive?
Mr. Brennan, I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe Tom can help me out too. I'm not sure. Yeah, there's only one HOA that we're dealing with and referring to here in this case. You mentioned another agreement with.
Yeah, and that's why I was confused too. I thought I heard you say that you met with, prior to filing this application or doing the processing of this application, an entity that I did not recognize that was not Melwood Springs.
Oh, sorry. It might have been we engaged GS Proctor and Associates, perhaps.
No, not GS Proctor and Associates. I'm familiar with them,
Okay.
but I thought you had mentioned another entity. So there's no other HOA that you've dealt with in processing this application?
No, sir. Just Melwood Springs.
All right.
Mr. Brown,
Yeah.
not to confuse anything, but there is a little confusion because the Melwood Springs Homeowners Association did change their name to Melwood Community Association. It's the same entity, but it was originally created as Melwood Springs Homeowners Association, but it's now referred to as Melwood Community Association. So depending on which
That's what
term you use, it can sound like you're dealing with two different groups.
Yeah, that's what.
And Mr. Johnson, who's the president of the association, is on today as well.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. And Mr. Linhart's going to deal with the improvements. And what was the other issue I had? Oh, yes. You did testify that the Meridian Hill Church, I don't know the formal name, is less than a 5% owner of the LLC. Are there any other members of the LLC that own more than 5%?
No, sir. No, sir.
All right. No further questions then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I'm still trying to picture this property. So is Meridian Hill an actual church in that area?
It is not an active.
Okay.
Sorry, not in that area. No, ma'am. They have an active church in Capitol Heights area.
Okay, so I'm on Melwood Road. Where is Johensu? Behind the little creek I was talking about? No.
Let me ask if
Yeah,
It's
someone
right
pull up.
It's right beside it.
if you pull up Exhibit 19,
Thank you.
it is always helpful to be fully oriented to the property. So let's do that. Exhibit 19 is the PowerPoint presentation that was prepared by Park and Planning, and that includes an aerial photograph and a vicinity map, and I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, every time I looked at it, I couldn't find Woodyard. That's the street I know. So that was throwing me off. See, that's the power line you talked about. Where would Woodyard be if on that map?
So Woodyard would be on the left side of the screen in that upper left corner. That's
Okay.
Woodyard Road.
Okay.
If you go down to the next image, the one after that, I think that might be helpful. That gives a broader view. Okay. So this site vicinity map shows the subject property outlined in red. You see where Johensu Drive extends from Woodyard Road
Yep.
south and east and dead ends into the property. And that was the road that Mr. Lansing was describing as being an existing road, but not being built to county standards. And then
So excuse me, 1 second, Tom. This is what I need though. So if I were to where's north? I guess to the west of the site.
to the west of the site is Woodyard Road.
Okay, and if I were to go right, is that the direction of the Royal Farm?
Correct.
And would the Royal Farm be relatively close if we had a picture that was larger than this?
It
To
would
the
be
right of the property?
correct. It would be a little
Okay.
less than a mile. Correct.
Okay. Okay, and then
And
on
then-
this particular one, do I see the other street that I know I'm gonna mangle? What is it?
Arethusa,
Arethusa.
you can see that it extends to the southern property
I
line,
see it.
property outlined in red.
Mm-hmm.
And then Arethusa intersects with Perrywood Road. And
Okay.
Perrywood Road then extends north and intersects with Woodyard Road.
So I think my issue is, and I'll stop talking about it, I've driven here a million times and never paid attention to the names of these roads, Johensu and Perrywood. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. I have no more questions for Mr. Lansing.
Mr. Brown, did you have any more?
No, thank you.
I think I'm good as well. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. My next witness is Mr. Ryan Dinko.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mr. Dinko, who was upside down earlier.
I got it all figured out now. Technology.
The best
always
he's
is
looked
the best
today.
thing.
Good morning. Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you shall give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Dinko. Would you please state your full name and business address for the record?
Absolutely. Ryan Dinko, 7035 Albert Einstein Drive, Suite 200, Columbia, Maryland, 21046.
And what is your trade or occupation?
I am the land acquisitions manager for the Lennar Mid-Atlantic Division.
And are you familiar with the proposed Meridian Hill planned retirement community, which Mr. Lansing testified about?
Yes, absolutely. We've been speaking with Mr. Lansing about purchasing the property upon approval of the special exemption application and constructing the homes.
And has Lennar yet executed a contract of sale for the property?
Not just yet. As Mr. Lansing testified, we're working on the final details and hope to have the contract executed within a week or so.
And you're the land acquisition manager, so it's your job to acquire property, correct?
Yes, sir.
As the contract is currently drafted, what entity will be the contract purchaser?
So entity will be US Home LLC, DBA Lennar Homes.
And so you said DBA Lennar Homes. How is Lennar related to US Homes?
Yep. So US Home LLC is a wholly owned subsidiary of Lennar Corporation, which is a publicly traded company.
Okay. And are you aware that once the contract is signed, that the contract purchaser is required to submit ethics affidavits as required by state law?
Yes, absolutely. We will submit the required affidavits as soon as we're under contract.
Okay. As you know, this is a planned retirement community. Does Lennar have any experience in constructing homes in a planned retirement community in Prince George's County?
Yes, Lennar constructed single-family detached homes and detached villas in the Traditions at Beachfield project located on Enterprise Road in Bowie.
And can you please describe what an attached villa is?
Absolutely. The attached villa is a 28-foot wide attached home with a ground floor primary bedroom, which is designed for the 55 and over active adult buyer.
Okay, and are you familiar with how many of the attached villas that were constructed at the Traditions at Beachfield project?
Yes, we had 51 attached villas at Traditions at Beachfield.
And are you familiar with how those units were received by the buyers and how quickly they sold?
Yeah, they were very popular. We had 51 units there and we sold out in 21 months. So I think that puts us right about 2.5 a month.
Okay. And are you proposing this to sell the same or similar models at Meridian Hill?
Yes, so at Traditions at Beachfield, we had two models due to the, it was only 51 units. Here, we would propose a third model in this community.
Okay, if I could, I'd like to ask if we could pull up the architectural renderings, which there are three separate models. And so let's start with Exhibit 42. Okay, so Mr. Dinko, can you identify this specific model?
Yes, I believe this is it's a little hard to read. I believe this is our Jefferson model. I can't actually see the font, but I believe it's our Jefferson.
Okay, and just give a quick description of what is included with this model as that was on the screen.
Yeah, so this model again is just for the 55 and up community. There's a primary bedroom on the first floor with additional beds on the second. If they have their grandkids over or something like that. But this is a single car garage, and I believe we have a deck off the back as well.
And this model was sold at the Traditions at Beachfield project?
Correct.
Okay. If I could go to Exhibit 43. Okay, and I believe I'm looking at the exhibit list is the Lafayette. Could you please just give a quick overview of this model as well?
Absolutely. So this is another model that was built at the Traditions at Beachfield. This also includes first floor primary suite, and this one has a two-car garage.
Okay, and if I could ask just to flip through the renderings to show the side and rear elevations. Okay. All right, now if I could ask if you could pull up Exhibit 44. All right, Mr. Dinko, this is marked as Exhibit 44 as MacArthur model. Could you please just give a quick overview of this one as well?
Yes, sir. So kind of just like the last, this has a primary bedroom on the first floor, a two-car garage, but perfect for the 55 and up crowd.
And was this model sold in the Traditions at Beachfield?
This was, no, the MacArthur actually was not offered at Beachfield, but we suggested offering a third here, just because of the unit count, just to have some, differences in front facade and just bring in additional looks to the community.
And so approximately how many of each of the models would be constructed in the Meridian Hill project?
Yeah, so it differentiates with every community, but here with 126 units, in a perfect world, we'd be looking at a third of each unit. So that would put us at about 42 of each model.
Okay. So there was reference earlier to staff conditions related to the architecture that have been submitted by NBR. So are you aware that that the staff recommended conditions specifically related to architecture?
Yes, I am familiar with those conditions.
Okay, so I'd like to go through each of those conditions and have you describe how those have been addressed in these renderings. So the first condition is condition 4A of the staff report, and I would note for the examiner, for Mr. Brown, there are actually two condition 4s. So this is the first condition 4. There was a separate condition 4 that related to something else, but the first condition 4A required that the architecture be revised to indicate a brick or stone water table as an option on all side elevations. Is Lennar willing to abide by this condition?
Absolutely. As you'll see on the renderings, all of the elevations include a stone water table as a standard condition.
So that you're not proposing to offer this as an option, you're proposing to have a stone water table on each of the models that you sell.
That is correct.
And if I could ask if you could just go to page 3, I guess it would be, of that image, just to give so that the examiner can see. And does this image depict the stone water table that you just referred to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the recommended condition 4B requires porches or cross gables be provided on every other unit. Do Lennar's elevations conform with this recommendation?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Condition 4C required that the exterior show railings for doors where the back porch is an option, or provide a window in place of the door. Do Lennar's architectural renderings reflect railings where the back porch is an option?
Yes, they do.
If I could ask if you could go to page 3 of Exhibit 44, excuse me, page 2 of Exhibit 44. Mr. Dinko, there are elevations there where there's railing shown. Is that an area where there could be a deck that that would reflect the railing required by that condition?
Absolutely, and that would be offered as an option.
And I would note that when the renderings were submitted for NVR, there were some of the renderings of the rears that they didn't show those railings. And if you look at each of the Lennar models, we don't necessarily need to look at all of them. Any one where there isn't a deck actually shown has the railing. So I just want to make sure that's clear for the record. Condition 4D requires that the renderings provide an expression line at the top of the side elevation to separate the top of the second floor windows from the peak of the roof. Let me start. Let me start with the Jefferson model. The Jefferson model is Exhibit 42. Could I ask if you could go back to Exhibit 42?
And Tom, while you're there was an exhibit listed called it the Johensu, but it will be named Jefferson, Exhibit 42.
I've noticed that. Yes. Okay, so this is the Jefferson model. If you could go to page 2, actually, page 3. Okay, so this is the side elevation of the Jefferson model. Does this exhibit show the expression line that's referenced in condition 4D?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Now, let me ask if we can go to Exhibit 43, page 2 of Exhibit 43. I'm sorry, page 3 of Exhibit 43. Okay. Now, this is the Lafayette model. Does this model show the expression line? And if not, why not?
It does not. As we saw in the Jefferson model, there is an expression line because of the roof pitch on the front and the back of the house are fairly even. On the other two models we are offering, the roof pitch on the MacArthur and the Lafayette, they don't exactly allow for an expression line to evenly divide the side facades to visually separate the top and the first and the second floor windows from the peak of the roof. So we have only included the expression line on the Jefferson model. As you can see here, if you look at the front end of this home, it kind of, if we had this expression line to evenly divide it, it would really be, angled and really wouldn't look that great.
Okay. If you could go to page, I guess 4, you'll be able to see the other side elevation, I think. Yes. It's a similar situation here.
Yes, sir.
All right, and then let me just pull up real quick Exhibit 44, the MacArthur, and pages 3 and 4 of those renderings, and just if you could review that again very quickly. Ryan, do you have the same issue with the expression line on the MacArthur?
Yeah, so as you see here with the front side of the roof where we have the overhangs on each, they just don't line up. So if we were to put an expression line, it would kind of dead end into the siding and not so much eave to eave. So I really don't think that it would benefit the overall aesthetic of the community to add an expression line here.
Okay. Let's move on to the next condition. Condition 4E requires that the roof eaves be extended over the side elevation to provide an overhang and shadow line and provide an architectural feature below the peak of the roof. Do all of the models include the overhang and shadow line referenced in this condition?
Yes, all of the models have the extended roof eaves that provide for an overhang.
Okay, and you can see that on this rendering, can you not?
Yes, sir, you can.
Okay. Condition 4F requires that the houses provide shutters for all windows on the side elevations. Let's just use the MacArthur as an example. Are you proposing the shutters on all of the windows on the side elevation?
I am not, only because of certain placement of the windows on the side elevations. It's really not conducive to having shutters on all the windows. As you can see in this bottom left window here, if we were, we would have to move that window in order to have a shutter. And I really don't think it looks, conducive and would really bode well for the overall aesthetic of the community.
And have you offered any additional upgrades to the windows in order to address the concern that the windows be accentuated?
Yes, so instead of shutters here, we were proposing a wider trim to really give those windows a better look.
Okay, and in your opinion, this accomplishes the same purpose as the shutters?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then finally, condition 4G requires that the highly visible end units provide brick from the ground to the top of the main level. Is that something that Lennar is proposing?
That's not something that we're proposing here. Again, I really don't believe this improves the look of the side elevations. Instead of taking it to the top of the main level, we're providing a stone water table as a standard feature for all of the units, rather than just an option, as we discussed previously. We also believe that the side elevations provide sufficient visual interest with various features.
So just to kind of summarize, is it your belief that the features that have been incorporated into the three models that are being proposed address the concerns that staff was trying to address in the conditions that they recommended in condition 4?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
Okay. All right, I have no further questions of Mr. Dinko at this time.
Before we leave, I can't pull up 9, which were the old elevations, but those are now void, correct?
Those would no longer be proposed. I'd be more than happy for you to compare the prior renderings. If I could ask that they pull
Yeah, I
up.
want to, in particular, I want to see about the elevation lines and the shutters to see how it could have been on the others, but not on these. You know what I'm asking? Oh, okay, so wait a minute. So exhibit 9. I don't know why I couldn't pull it up. That's 9?
No, they're getting there.
So they look like that.
Well, no, well, you need 10. You need the color elevations. No, that's the clubhouse.
That
Hold
says the
on.
clubhouse. It's probably on another page if you keep scrolling. That's not the only page, is it? Okay. Well, you can
That's
see it's a different
clubhouse.
product.
That's the clubhouse there.
Actually, if you go to exhibit 9, there are color renderings in exhibit 9. There you go.
It's also part of the staff report, so I'm looking at it now. It's back up pages 48 through
If you go to the next page 4, you'll see the side elevations.
Okay.
So just for the examiner's benefit, what NBR was proposing was the low the low visibility sides did not have a stone or a brick water table. They were offered on the high visibility sides. And so staff was asking that all of the side elevations offer that as an option. And Lennar is proposing to make it standard. And then staff's condition on the high visibility side would have extended the brick water table up a little bit from where it ended. And then you can see that NVR was showing shutters on some windows, but not all windows. So what the staff condition would have required is that on all the windows on the side elevation would have shutters.
Okay. And you all had some windows that were a little closer. So what is your number again? 50, I mean,
It'd be
40.
43, 42, 43, and 44. Right, so the window placement, in some
different.
cases are closer together or closer to the front of the house.
And those others just seem longer somehow with NVR. So I see the difference. I was just trying to make sure they didn't look exactly the same, but you were saying something differently this time. I can see the difference. Mr. Brown, do you have any questions?
Just one, but Mr. Hallett just clarified it for me. So, Mr. Dinko, as I understand it, even though staff recommends condition 4A to be optional, brick or stone water table, you are proposing or proffering that it be standard. It will not be an option for the home buyer, correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And then if we could just look at the front of any one of your elevations. I'm just struck by the fact that the water table on the side and the rear is extremely attractive. But to me, my mind, the front is not as much because you don't have much visible stone or brick on the front. Of course, the water table is much lower because the building grade proceeds downward toward the rear. But
So Stan, if I
Yes.
may, so you're saying you don't want to see these anymore, right? You want to see the front of 44, 45, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Any one of those three. And so
you
my
can pull
question,
up anything 42, 43, or 44.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, well, any of them, they're all comparable. They're all comparable, but maybe 43, that's the 2-car garage Lafayette.
I mean, that one looks okay, but let's go to the next one.
Yeah, that's Jefferson. That's 40, yeah.
All
there
right,
you
now
go.
see that one there. I mean, it just looks bland with all of the siding, and the water table is almost, is lost and all of that. Is there a possibility that you can include more brick or stone on the front facades?
Absolutely, there is, and we certainly will offer additional stone frontage as an option. Typically, a handful of homeowners will want to see the stone come up and over the garage, and potentially a few more may want to see the entire porch, where you have that kind of overhang when you go up the first 2 steps to have the entire porch stoned. We will offer that as an option here.
But you want to offer it as an option as opposed to being mandated to provide some additional percentage of stone on the front.
Correct.
Mr. Howland, did you
Yes.
place in the record, if you did, I didn't see it, how you want to revise conditions 4A through 4G to comply with architectural renderings that are being proffered?
I did not place any revised conditions in because these, it was our belief that these renderings addressed those conditions and they were no longer necessary. But I can, if so desired, I can modify condition 4 to
Yeah, I think the conditions need
address
to be
this.
modified because I understand you think you comply, but as I was listening to you and your client or Mr. Dinko, at face value, it doesn't comply. It's just another way of doing it. And so just so that everyone is clear, I think conditions 4A through J need to be clarified as to how your architectural renderings will actually be created. For example, I mean, item 4A, it says it'll be optional. You know, that should be changed to say that brick or stone water table shall be on all side elevations, not optional, so that we're clear. You understand what I'm saying?
I do understand on that one in particular. I mean, for the
And
for the
and the thing-
expression line, I could say that we could provide an expression line where the
Yeah, I
roof
mean,
pitch-
I don't think the expression line is needed either. I think it's unattractive on the 2 units your witness testified to. But again, 4D, it should say that. You know, you're not providing an expression line on models 1, 2, or 3. You know,
Okay.
what they happen to be.
I can provide an exhibit that addresses each of those. four
Yeah, I
points.
think Stan, because I'm busy here trying to revise them in case it's approved, but it makes more sense for you to do so.
I'm
Right.
happy to do
Thank
that.
you.
Because when it comes back, I'm not going to remember it. I'm going to be honest with you. All right, no other questions. Thank you.
And we'll mark the earlier ones as void.
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions either.
Okay, my next witness is Mr. Mike Lenhart.
Can you hear me okay?
You ready now?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Lenhart, do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you shall give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, Mr. Lenhart, would you please state your full name and business address for the record?
Yes, Michael Lenhart, 231 Naholes Road, Suite 250, Millersville, Maryland, 21108.
And what is your occupation?
I'm a traffic engineer and transportation planner.
And what is the name of your company?
Lenhart Traffic Consulting.
And are you the owner and principal of that company?
I am.
And how long have you been engaged in the field of transportation engineering and planning?
This is my 36th year, 10 years with State Highway Administration, and going on 26 years in the private sector.
And do you have a copy of your resume with you today? Or have you provided a copy of your resume for the record?
Yeah, I believe you do have a copy of the file.
I would note Mr. Lenhart's resume is Exhibit 47 and is in binder 2. I would ask that Mr. Lenhart be accepted as an expert in the field of transportation engineering and planning.
Pretty sure that's different from my last time, but this time you will be accepted as an expert in traffic engineering and traffic planning. I normally say transportation.
Yeah.
How about traffic engineering and transportation planning?
Perfect.
Okay.
Mr. Lenhart, are you familiar with the application which has been filed and which is being considered by the zoning hearing examiner in this case?
Yes, I am.
And have you made a personal inspection of the property owned by Meridian Hill Partners?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the area surrounding the subject property, including the roads of the roadway network?
Yes.
Have you been here for all the testimony which has preceded yours?
I have.
And are you familiar with the applicant's proposed development for which approval is being requested in this hearing?
Yes, I am.
Have you examined the applicant's site and development plan for the project?
Yes.
Can you please identify the roads abutting the property and how access is proposed for the planned retirement community?
Yes. As has been discussed already, the property will have access via Erythius Lane. I haven't warmed my mouth up yet this morning. Into the property.
You're trying to make me feel better, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, sorry. That road has a right-of-way width of ranging between 60 and 70 feet, and that intersects Perrywood, which goes out to Route 223. Perrywood Road has a right-of-way width of approximately 60 feet. and it intersects with Route 223, which is Woodyard Road. Woodyard Road is a master plan arterial road in the county master plan of transportation.
And did you prepare a traffic impact analysis for this property as part of a certificate of adequacy, which was submitted with the preliminary plan of subdivision?
We did.
And what was the date of that analysis?
That was originally dated November of 2023. Then it was updated in November 22nd of 2024 to reflect pre-app comments that were received by park and planning staff.
Okay, and I just note for the record that Mr. Lenhart's traffic and study is marked as Exhibit 33 in the record. Can you provide a summary of the study and the conclusions of the study as it relates to conformance with the guidelines for evaluation of traffic impacts applicable in Prince George's County?
Certainly. A transportation checklist was submitted for approval and was approved by park and planning staff, identifying the intersections to be included, which was Maryland 223 at Perrywood, Perrywood at Arithsa Lane, and 223 at Johensu Drive. Study was, we conducted traffic counts at the intersections as required by the guidelines. We included background developments and then the site traffic. Originally, the study was prepared for 176 age-restricted units. That was ultimately refined down. The plan is now 126. But even for 176, all of the study intersections were found to pass the adequacy test. All of the intersections are unsignalized intersections. There's a 3-step test in the transportation review guidelines, and all 3 intersections passed that 3-step test without any improvements.
Okay, and was this study reviewed as part of the certificate of adequacy?
Yes, it was.
And was the certificate of adequacy approved?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to note for the record, Mr. Lenhart referenced the transportation pre-submittal checklist. That's actually Exhibit 31 in the record, so I wanted to note that. And then the certificate of adequacy is also included in the record and been marked as Exhibit 52, and its reference is ADQ 2024-056. If I could ask it, Exhibit 52 could be pulled up briefly. There we go. Mr. Lenhart, is this the certificate of adequacy you were referencing?
That's correct.
And are the conclusions in the certificate of adequacy related to the adequacy of transportation consistent with the findings of your traffic impact study?
Yes, they are.
Okay, and based on the findings of your traffic impact analysis, will the proposed development have an adverse impact on the surrounding area from a traffic generation standpoint?
No, it will not. The site only generates 28 trips in the morning peak hour, 34 trips in the evening peak hour. And as a result, it has a negligible impact on the study intersections. It does generate some trips, but it's negligible and not a adverse impact.
Okay, and thank you. And are you aware that the owner has engaged with the abutting Melwood Community Association to discuss obtaining access through that subdivision, which is known as Melwood Springs?
Yes.
Are you aware that the Melwood Community Association asked the owner to evaluate the intersection of Perrywood Road and Woodyard Road because of safety concerns?
Yes,
And did you evaluate that intersection?
we did.
What was the conclusion of that evaluation? And did you make any recommendations that could improve the safety of the intersection?
Certainly. So the intersection, as mentioned, it does pass the adequacy test in the transportation review guidelines. With that said, the approach of Perrywood at Route 223 is currently 1 lane in, 1 lane out. The predominant traffic movements there are people coming out of Perrywood to turn right onto Woodyard Road to go up to Route 4. That is the majority of the turning patterns at the intersection. And so one thing that we noted was, even though it does pass the test, that if we widen that intersection to provide two egress lanes, so one would be left turn lane, one would be a right turn lane, it dramatically improves the delays for people exiting, because if somebody's turning left, it doesn't block the right turning movements while that person's waiting for a gap in traffic to turn left.
Could I ask if staff can pull up Exhibit 48? Mr. Leonard, you were referencing improvements to the intersection of Woodyard Road and Perrywood Road. Exhibit 48 is a document which shows that intersection. Is this an exhibit that was prepared by you?
Yes, it is.
And does this depict the improvement that you were just referencing?
Yes, it does.
Okay, if you could just, utilizing this exhibit, just kind of go back through that so that everybody fully has an image associated with the description.
Certainly. So if you look at Perrywood Road today, it's approximately 30 feet wide, which is wide enough for one vehicle entering, one vehicle exiting. This would widen it to approximately 36 feet. It would be proposed to be striped with two 11-foot lanes exiting the community, one 11-foot right turn lane, one 11-foot left turn lane, and then a 14-foot inbound lane. And that would be a distance of approximately 100 feet, plus a short taper to taper it back into the existing road network.
Okay, and the right-of-way currently exists to be able to accommodate this improvement, so we don't need to obtain right-of-way from anybody else?
That's correct. There's 60 feet of right of way. This is 36 feet of paving, and so there is room for this improvement.
And Mr. Brown asked about which agencies have jurisdiction over each roads. Can you please address that?
Certainly. So Woodyard Road is a state highway. They have control over any improvements within the state right of way. Perrywood Road is a county roadway. They have authority over the improvements in the county roadway. I believe this will require coordination with both agencies, because some of the improvements is in the state right of way, some is in the county right of way. Mr. Brown inquired as to whether we have discussed this yet with any of the agencies. We have not. But I don't expect any issues or concerns with this improvement. We're proposing here as a standard, typical intersection improvement that would intersect a state roadway. And for example, if you look at Joensuu Drive, on Joensuu Drive, on the west side of Woodyard Road, approximately 1,500 feet north of here, there's a residential subdivision where Joensuu Drive was constructed. It's improved entering the subdivision. There's 36 feet of paving at that location. We're basically proposing the same improvement here.
Okay, and once that improvement is made, what will be the impact from both an operational and a safety standpoint?
Sure, it will reduce the queuing, and it will reduce the delays for motorists exiting the community. Again, anybody turning right today, if there's a left turning vehicle, the right turning people are stopped and queued behind them, waiting for them to find a gap in traffic along both directions to be able to turn left. And so this would separate them. The right turns will operate much better terms of reduced queues and delays. The left turns will also operate better because it takes the right turns out of that lane. So it does improve movement for both of the lefts and rights out.
Okay, and just following up on the coordination of the agencies, you did reference the need that this you did reference this improvement in your traffic impact analysis that was reviewed by both Park and Planning, DPI, and State Highway Administration. Did you not?
We did. We referenced this. We acknowledged that it was not required, but that the applicant was proposing this. And we do have State Highway approved the traffic study as is.
Okay, and so they didn't provide any comments that would suggest that there were any issues with implementing this improvement, even though technically it's not required to achieve finding of adequacy.
They did not.
Okay. Now, based on your analysis, do you have an opinion as to whether or not the development of this property as proposed with the planned retirement community will be compatible with the traffic conditions in the road network in the surrounding area?
I do. I believe it will be compatible. I believe this neighborhood, as a age-restricted community, it generates substantially less traffic than market rate. With 28 morning and 34 evening PM trips, it's relatively small traffic generator.
Okay, and from the perspective of traffic engineering and planning, will the grant of this application be consistent with the standards enumerated in the zoning ordinance for the use in question?
Yes, it will.
And from the perspective of traffic engineering and planning, will the approval of the application cause any adverse effect upon adjacent properties or the surrounding neighborhood?
No, it would not.
Finally, in your opinion, would approval of the application have any detrimental effect on health or safety of pedestrians or motorists in the area?
No, it would not.
I have no further questions of Mr. Lenhart.
Good morning, Mr. Lenhart.
Good morning.
Just probably one question here, depending upon how you answer it. That is Arethusa Road or Lane.
See, Stan's got it down.
That's easy. I was going to say, it's easy for you to say.
I can't see it because I was able to pronounce it.
Okay.
And so is that going to be the only egress point for this development?
Yes.
Okay. All right, no other questions. Thank you.
I have one, Mr. Lenhart. And I'm probably reading this document wrong, but staff ended up saying that unsignalized intersection, when you look at background and everything, fails, but said everything was all right. Could you explain why that is? Because we have a lot of new people on the council that may be seeing these type of faces for the first time, and I don't want them to read that and wonder.
Sure. Yeah, that's a very good question. That could be seen as confusing. Let me explain why. And I'm pulling up my information here. So you're talking about page 82 of the backup materials. Is that correct?
Yes.
I think so. Okay. So there's a three-step test. And which table are you looking at? There's a background traffic conditions that is in the bottom half of page 82 of the backup materials. Is that where you're looking?
Right. The existing said it fails, and then with the backup, it fails AM and PM.
Right. So there are two. There's a three-step test. So if you're looking at 223 at Perrywood, it says that passes. Passes in the morning, it passes in the evening. There's two passes, right? The next row is 223 at Joensuu. 223 at Joensuu, it has 123.6 seconds in the AM, 68.2 seconds in the PM. and that says fail and fail. Do you see where I'm referencing? So that is the first step of the three-step test. The first step looks at the intersection and the stop controlled movements, and if the stop controlled delays are greater than 50 seconds per vehicle, it fails the first step. You then go to the second step. The second step says if the volume of vehicles per hour on that stop controlled approach are less than 100 vehicles per hour, it passes that second step. And so the third row of that table says unsignalized tier step 2. Less than 100 vehicles, less than 100 vehicles, pass. And so it passes the second step. The Transportation Review Guidelines states that you do the 3 steps in order. If it passes the first step, it passes overall. If it fails the first but passes the second, it's deemed adequate and it passes overall. If it fails the first 2 but passes the third step, it's deemed adequate and it passes overall. If it fails all 3, then it fails. And typically you would do a signal warrant study to see if a signal is needed to remedy this situation. So in this case, it fails the first step, it passes the second step, therefore it's deemed adequate. Does that make sense?
The only reason, it makes sense what you're saying, and I wanted that in the record, but the only thing is, and how do I make this a question for you? I guess the question for you and you is that they just assume that people living in these villas drive less than people that aren't 55.
Yeah.
Everything, all the books, all of the IT still says that, huh?
They generate slightly fewer trips per day, but they definitely generate a lot fewer trips during the peak periods because a market rate home with less than 55 age people in it typically have children, 2 or 3 children or whatever the number might be. And those, they're going to school, or if they're out of school, they're going to work. So you've got more people in the house that are generating peak hour trips. When you get people that are 55 plus, they tend to have fewer people in the house, or they do fewer peak hour trips. They might do more trips during the midday or things like that. It's less concentrated in the peak hour.
I don't know about your house, but I do know about Tom Stands in mine.
Yeah.
You're driving too much.
Yeah.
The last thing is somewhere in the staff report, and of course I can't find my little notes right now. They describe this as having one person at 55. That's not correct, correct? You can't just have one person living there that's 55 and qualify for this, can you? I guess that's more a Tom question.
I think I would defer to that question. Yeah.
And I'm not, I can't tell you that I'm totally understanding of what the federal requirements are under the Federal Fair Housing Act. I know a minimum of 1 must be. I think there are also restrictions on people under the age of 18. So I mean, if somebody was 60 and they were married to somebody who was 52, they might qualify, but not to have children in the house.
Okay. Okay. And then the last thing that I probably should have asked Mr. Dinko, but again, if anybody can proffer, every last one of those models had a driveway where you could park as well as the garage, correct? I saw them, and I think that's a great idea, because some of the ones that don't have the driveway, then cars are everywhere in that neighborhood. Okay.
And I do want to note, and I should have done this earlier, but I was going to ask Mr. Dunn, but because we're going to be substituting these models for the ones that were placed on the lots, the site plan will have to be modified to make sure that the footprints of the buildings it reflects the new units. So there will need to be an updated site plan submitted. And then, so for example, and then the other thing is that all of the homes proposed by NV had 2-car garages, and Lennar does propose one car garage model. And that will mean that the number of parking spaces provided will be slightly less because under the original plan, the driveways did count as 2 additional parking spaces. So for the units that are done as one car garage will be fewer parking spaces. There'll be 2 provided on those lots as opposed to 4, if that makes sense. So in a two car garage, it'll be 2 in the garage and 2 in the driveway. For 1 car garage, it'll be 1 in the garage and 1 in the driveway.
So again, we're just holding on to Mr. Lenhart. But while you're thinking about it, do you think it's something you might want to give to staff to see if they wanted to provide any additional comments or not? You don't have to answer. Just think. I don't know. At the end, tell me something. Because that's not going to change any of their analyses now that the parking might. No, they thought you had too much parking. Who's your parking person? We'll get him to talk. It's not Mr. Lenhart, right?
That would be Mr. Dunn.
Okay.
And if I could offer, in response to your question about the one person 55 years of age. So I'm looking at the Institute for Transportation Engineers has a trip generation manual that has the land use code for senior adult housing. And they have a definition in here. The definition says these developments have specific age restrictions for its residents, typically a minimum of 55 years of age for at least one resident of the household. And so I didn't want to answer definitively before, and I'm not sure if the county has a specific definition, but this is what is nationally recognized by the ITE trip generation manuals. At least one person, 55 years of age. And it says these residents in these communities are typically considered active and require little to no medical supervision. Percentage of retired residents varies by developments. It's not necessarily a retirement community. It's just people 55 up where not all households, but many households, the dynamics of the household start to change once you reach that age, and so they're typically fall into this average consideration.
Thank you. Any other questions, Stan or Tom?
None.
I do want to note very briefly, because Mr. Johnson for the Community Association is here. They did, I think he would probably tell you that the community would love to have a traffic signal at this location. And they did ask us, as Mr. Lenhart testified, from the county's process, there's a standard that you go through, a 3-step process. And if it doesn't qualify, they don't require you to do a signal warrant analysis, but on behalf of the Community Association, we did ask Mr. Lenhart to take a closer look at the warrants to see whether it would qualify. And Mr. Lenhart, you can answer the question, but I know that the community has engaged directly with State Highway to see if they would install a signal, notwithstanding the warrant issue. But that is something that we have looked closer into. But Mr. Lenhart, you please address very briefly the signal warrant requirements for this intersection.
Sure. State Highway Administration utilizes the Manual for Uniform Traffic Control Devices. It's a national publication that all jurisdictions utilize when considering traffic signals. There are 9 warrants in the MUTCD. State Highway Administration will not consider installing a signal if at least one of those warrants are not met. We have looked at it briefly. The installation of the second exit lane, making a separate left and right turn lane, is, in my opinion, would eliminate the need or the potential that this would meet warrants for signalization. The left turn out does not meet the criteria that would justify signalization. And the right turnout should operate fairly well with some delays, but minimal delays, given the improvement. And Again, we don't think that it would meet the warrants, and I do not believe State Highway would consider it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. My next witness is Mr. Edward Steer.
Do you mind if you all just stay on it, but everybody get a 5-minute break? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. You ready to go back on?
I am.
You can
Go ahead and speak, Maureen.
Oh, okay. Mr. Howard.
Good morning again. You ready for me to go?
Yes.
Okay. So my next witness will be Mr. Edward Steer.
Mr. Steer, do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you shall give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Steer. Would you please state your full name and business address for the record?
My name is Edward Steer. I'm president of Man with a Plan LLC, doing business as Polestar Analysis at Post Office Box 64, Upper Co, Maryland 21155.
And what is your trade or occupation?
I'm a land planner and market analyst, market analyst for real estate development.
And how long have you been engaged in the field of preparing economic analyses?
I've been doing the economic analysis for about 25 years.
Okay. And have you been qualified as an expert witness for the zoning hearing examiner of Prince George's County or any other tribunals?
Yes.
Submitted into the record as Exhibit 50 is Mr. Steer's resume. As he just noted, he's been accepted as an expert witness previously before the zoning hearing examiner, and I would offer him as an expert in the field of economic analysis in this case.
Mr. Steer will be accepted as an expert in the area of economic / market analysis.
Thank you, Madam Examiner. Mr. Steer, have you been retained by the owner of the property to perform services regarding the proposed planned retirement community known as Meridian Hill?
Yes, I have.
And can you please describe the services which you have been retained to perform?
So I was hired to perform the needs analysis for senior housing that's required by Section 27395A of the Prince George's County Code.
And what is the date of the report that you prepared
That was
originally?
the initial report was March 17th, 2025.
Okay, and I would note for the record that this report is marked as Exhibit 21 in the record. Have you had an opportunity to update the report, Mr. Steer?
Yes, I did a limited update of it this March, this year.
And I would note that the updated analysis is marked as Exhibit 45 in the record, and is dated March 16th, 2026. Mr. Steer, are you familiar with the criteria for approval of a special exception for a planned retirement community, and specifically Section 27395? And you are aware that Section 27395A1A1 requires that prior to approval of a planned retirement community, the district council must find that the proposed use will serve the needs of the retirement age community.
Yes.
And are you also aware that Section 27395A1A3 requires prior to approving a planned retirement community in the RA zone, the district council must find that there is a demonstrated need for the facility and an existing medical facility within the defined market area of the subject property.
Yes, I am.
So have you done any research or obtained any information which relates to whether the proposed facility will serve the needs of the retirement age community, whether there is a demonstrated need for the facility, and whether there's an existing medical facility which exists within the defined market area?
Yes, I have. And I will note it looks confusing using the term facility there, but this is a community, so I think there's some word art in the code that's incorrect.
Wouldn't be the first time. So first, what is the defined market area for the subject property?
So I'll refer to my report. The market area is defined on page 16 and 17 of the report. What I call my primary market area. The area is described on page 16, and there's a map of it on page 17. It's the center of Prince George's County, but it lies east of Joint Base Andrews, which is an area that we can't include in a market study because it's restricted access. So it basically extends from the Capitol Beltway eastward through Upper Marlboro to the Patuxent River, and then north to just south of Largo, and south north of Brandywine, and would include the area of Clinton, but it would not go as far as Fort Washington.
Okay, Madam Examiner, would it be helpful at all for him to pull those pages up for you to see it, or is his description sufficient?
I can't speak for Mr. Brown, but I have a copy in front of me.
Oh, okay.
I have a copy as well.
Okay, all right. So Mr. Steer, is there an existing medical facility within the market area? And if so, what is that facility?
Yes, there is. There's the MedStar Southern Maryland Hospital Center in Clinton. It's about 4 miles south of the subject as the crow flies, about 5.5 by driving. It's on Branch Avenue, just south of Clinton.
Okay, and could you please summarize for the examiner the information which you've obtained, which relates to whether there is a demonstrated need for the proposed age-restricted community and whether the proposed community will meet the needs of retirement age community?
I can do that, but can I first segue from where Mr. Lenhart dropped off on the age restriction, just to make sure everybody understands? The Housing for Older Persons Act, the Federal Housing for Older Persons Act, has standards for 55+ housing that require a minimum of 80% of the units have one person in the house that's aged 55+, and that other people in the house can be younger than 55. It could be a partner, it could be family, it could be a caregiver, for example. But those are the two hard and fast rules. The other would be if for up to the bylaws of the community by Lennar, as to whether they would allow anybody under 18 to live in the home. And so in my experience with Lennar, they don't allow that. So I just wanted to put that on the table, that there is an act, a standard that that is typically followed for this, and that they don't allow minors to live permanently in the homes, although they can visit. So moving on. First, in my approach to this project, to figuring out whether the need is met, I started by looking at the demographics in the economy, which is pages 16 through 33, and determine that greater than 50% of the households in this market area are senior households over the age of 55. And the growth trends indicate that it's going to keep growing by a faster rate than the rest of the county. This is a pretty settled single-family community or market area. So, for example, the Melrose Springs neighborhood next door was built over a 20-year span of the early 80s to the early 2000s. And so most of those original owners are empty nesters or approaching empty nesting at this point. So that's just a great example. It's right next door of that, of the makeup of this market area. So I also looked at the county labor market and household income by tenure. And I then studied the supply, which is pages 30 through 38, for both rental and for sale senior housing opportunities. And what that showed me is that there's limited rental opportunities, and they're all at very high occupancy rates. And the for sale supply was pretty much old and very stabilized. So there's not a lot of market room for people to age and stay within this community. The newest for sale units were at Timothy Branch, built by Ryan. That's in Brandywine. That's not actually in our market area, but it was nearby. And then Traditions at Beachfield, which is a Lennar product that he already mentioned, that Mr. Dinko already mentioned. And they're both complete and stabilized. They had rapid absorption. So there's only one other new senior age-restricted active adult community under construction in Westphalia right now. That's north of our primary market area at Victoria Park at Parkside. It's being constructed by DRB Homes. And it's It's platted as 424 homes, of which 96 are the villa townhomes like we're proposing here. They're selling right now they've only built one road worth of homes in there. And there's 22 under construction right now that are scheduled to sell in the next couple of months. And those homes are selling north of $500,000. There's one actually right there next to the model that sold for $750,000. So based on that, those two things I went through, and then I measured the demand, which is pages 39 through 43, and the capture rate, and determined that how many senior households in this market area are income qualified to purchase a home in the range that is proposed in Meridian Hill, which was between $400,000 and $500,000 at this point. And that senior households have a median income in this market, in our market area. Senior households 55 plus have a median income of $118,000, and it's projected to grow by 20%. That number of households is projected to grow by 20% in the next 5 years. Excuse me. We've determined there's two types of home buyers approaching this community. There are existing homeowners with accumulated equity, or newer first-time home buyers transitioning from renting. So we didn't qualify or didn't reduce that to overall qualified household figure based on tenure. So based on typical underwriting standards, a household has to earn more than $120,000 to purchase one of these homes. And I determined that there were 7,821 senior households that are qualified in this market area today. And that produced a capture rate of 1.6%, which is exceptionally low. So that's how I got there.
So based upon the accumulated information that you just described, do you have an opinion as to whether a demonstrated need exists for a planned retirement community in this market area, which satisfies the requirements set forth in section 27.395?
Yes, so in 395A1A1, yes. I believe that it clearly meets the defined need in this community. As I mentioned before, the market area is single-family homes in aging suburban neighborhoods. I called it out in the report as a hole in the donut, more or less, in Prince George's County, where you have these spine roads of Branch Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue and Central Avenue that where higher density lies, and this is sitting between this community and the rest of the population of Washington D.C. is an Air Force base. So it's quieter. It's in an area that doesn't have a lot of commercial core to it. It is a bedroom community, and so the demand within this community that I found among the population that lives there today far exceeds the proposed unit count. And they don't have many options to go to nearby. There's the senior communities that exist around this region are full. So that alone, it provides an opportunity for people who even live in this particular neighborhood to stay in their neighborhood and move into a more age-appropriate housing unit.
Okay, thank you. Did the staff of Park and Planning review your report, and did they concur with your analysis?
Yes, I believe so. The staff report agreed with my findings.
Okay, do you have anything to add at this point? Otherwise, I have no further questions.
Not in particular. Like I said, there is a significant medical facility within 4 or 5 miles of this property, and it's very easy access, actually. So I think it meets those two requirements of 395.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. Brown?
Good morning, Mr. Steer.
Good morning, Mr. Brown.
Just one or two questions on the ambiguity in the requirements. Looking at page 15 of the staff report where it identifies 27395 A1AI requirement, the proposed use will serve the needs of the retirement age community. Just so the record is clear, you don't equate community with the special exception neighborhood, nor do you equate it with the market area.
I'm sorry, explain that again.
What is the community as you understand it in that requirement?
The community is the population. Households or population of age 55 plus.
All right, so you're
in the way in that statement, the proposed use will serve the needs of retirement age community. That community context is the people.
Okay, because I understood it, and I'm not necessarily correct. I understood community to mean a geographical area, such as a neighborhood. But you looked at it as a population aged 55 and older, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And looking at page 18, same requirement, 3I. In the RA zone, there shall be a demonstrated need for the facility. And you have concluded, opined, that there is a need based upon the population in that market area of those persons greater than age 55, and the dearth of age 55 facilities within the market area, correct?
This is one of those places where I think the word facility is misused. As this is not a facility, it's a retirement community. But in the first use of the word facility on that sentence, there is an existing medical facility within this defined market area. That's what.
No, I'm not arguing with the second half of the sentence. I'm just, and I understand facility is ambiguous, but I'm not quibbling over that. But my point is, your needs analysis, you opine that there is in fact a demonstrated need at this 55 plus development, correct?
Yes, I am representing this particular site at this time, but there is a demonstrated need in this market area, is what I've demonstrated.
Right. You heard the two witnesses who were opposed to this application at the beginning of this hearing testify that they don't even want to live in the neighborhood anymore because of various issues, correct?
I heard that, yes.
And you testified a moment ago that your need analysis is based on the assumption that persons 55 plus who live either in the market area or the community or the neighborhood want to age in place, which is contrary to what the two opposition witnesses testified to. In other words, why assume that everyone who lives in that neighborhood or that market area or that community wants to age in place in that neighborhood, in that market area, in that community? That's a big assumption in your report.
I have not put a number on that in my study, but the opportunity exists. What we do find in study after study is that quite often people who have established their life in a community, as one of those two folks who opposed this earlier, live next door to this site in Melrose Springs. She bought her house brand new in 1993. And so she meets that definition of an empty nester who really loves her community and would perhaps not want to leave it, which she did say. And so what we find is I don't know about those particular homes. I don't know the layouts or floor plans, but that quite often seniors who would like to stay in their community may not be living in a house that accommodates them well. And so these types of buildings and communities that are proposed by Lennar and Ryan and so forth and MDR are more age-appropriate housing that provides an opportunity to stay near their friends and family within their community. And that the Melrose Springs community is a community in transition of empty nesters at this time. Regardless of whether she wants to see a community get built across the woods from her house or not. I'm just saying in general that the tendency is for people to want to stay near their home that they're familiar with and the stores that they're familiar with and the neighbors they're familiar with. They don't have that opportunity today in this market area.
Understand. No other questions?
And again, I have just a few based on what you said. I was thinking along the same lines as Stan. I just need you to say a little more for the record. It's probably also in your analysis. What are the needs of people over 55? And then how are you serving it? That last statement, I think I got from that the homes are better, the homes are more suitable for people of a certain age. But could you just say a little more about why you think those two needs are addressed?
So all of the homes that are proposed in this new community in Meridian Hill are going to have ground floor living. So they appear as multi-story homes. But for the primary residence, they're going to have a ground floor master bedroom suite. Everything is on that level that they need to live with. And with new accessibility rules that are coming in play this year, they will be adaptable as they age. The most colonial homes built in the suburbs don't have first floor bedroom suites on them and require conversion if people want to age in place, or they're going to require stair chairs or something like that. So this is what we call an age-appropriate housing model. Now, I want to qualify here that several of us on this call are age qualified.
Mark yourself there, Mr. Steer.
But we're all still working today, aren't we? And so, it doesn't mean that everybody in an age 55 plus community is special needs at this point or in need of other care. It is an active adult community. It's not a retirement place it's not a 62 plus apartment building that has other services and a dining hall. So it's considered just a better type of home to age in, and you might be able to age all the way through in because it's designed for that. And only the newest homes are like that. Like I say, I don't know the floor plans of the homes in the neighborhood around it, but they date back to the 1980s. So we're pretty certain that they aren't all accommodating to aging in place. And for Mr. Brown, aging in place and aging in your community are two different things. Aging in place, we like to consider aging in your home. Aging in your community is to stay aging in it, without having to leave what you're familiar with. And I'm sorry if that came across the wrong way before. I don't know how it came out.
Thank you. Any more questions?
I have none.
Thank you, Mr. Steer.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My final witness is Mr. Ken Dunn.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Dunn. Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you shall give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Good morning, Mr. Dunn. Could you please state your full name and business address for the record?
Warren Kenneth Dunn, 4300 Forbes Boulevard, Lanham, Maryland, 20706.
And what is your occupation?
I'm a land planner with Soltez. We're a local civil engineering, land planning, landscape architecture, and surveying firm.
Speaking of the elderly, how long have you been engaged in the field of land planning?
35 plus years.
Okay.
I well qualify for 55 plus.
And what are your duties and responsibilities as a land planner with Soltez?
As a land planner for Soltez, I am in charge of ensuring that the civil engineering aspects for land development are met via subtitle 27 and subtitle 24, as well as some of the further subtitles that go into infrastructure development for land development projects.
Now, Mr. Soltez, you provided us previously with a copy of your resume, and it is marked as Exhibit 40 in the record. Have you previously qualified as an expert in the field of land planning before the zoning hearing examiner in Prince George's County?
Yes, but I'm not Mr. Soltez.
I'm sorry. Oh, just Mr. Dunn. Mr. Soltez has more hair than you do, but
He has more hair. Yes, he does.
I won't bring that up too much. So I'd like to offer Mr. Dunn as an expert in the field of land planning.
He will be accepted as an expert in the area of land use planning.
Thank you.
Mr. Dunn, have you and your firm been retained to perform engineering and land planning services on behalf of the owner of the property?
Yes, we have.
And are you familiar with the application being considered today and the request which is made in that application?
Yes, I am.
Did Soltez prepare the site plan and all of the other supporting drawings which are contained in the application submittal documents?
Soltez prepared the civil engineering documents for the application.
Okay, and have you had an opportunity to review each of those documents that were submitted in this case?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the property that forms the subject matter of the application?
Yes, I am.
And have you personally visited the property and viewed the surrounding area?
I have.
Are you therefore familiar with not just the subject property, but also the neighborhood and the uses which exist on properties in close proximity to the subject property?
I am.
Could you please describe the neighborhood and the characteristics of the immediate area?
So the neighborhood, and I agree with staff's definition of the neighborhood, would be bounded by Route 4 to the north, Branch Avenue to the south, that's Route 5. To the east, it's Robert Crane Highway, Route 301. And to the west, generally speaking, it's Andrews Air Force Base. The neighborhood, the immediately surrounding neighborhood can be characterized to the north as large lot, single-family detached buildings, housing that are not in a subdivision but are on tax ID parcels. To the east, you have a power line, several, a large amount of woods, and then a large lot, single-family detached subdivision on east of the power line. And then to the southwestish, you have a RR zone subdivision of housing that was built between the mid 80s and early 2000s.
Okay. And are you familiar with the current zoning of the subject property?
Yes, I am.
And what is the current zone of the subject property?
The current zone, the current zone is RA. I'm sorry, AR.
And are you aware of the zoning category that existed prior to April 1st of 2022?
RA.
All right, okay. Has a special exception been filed under the provisions of the prior zoning ordinance?
Yes, it has.
And what provision of the code authorizes the application to be processed under those provisions?
271704B.
Okay, and are you familiar with the various planning documents and policies in Prince George's County that are relevant to
I
the
am.
subject property surrounding area?
I am.
And could you briefly review the site plan and the proposed buildings and uses? And it would probably be helpful if we pulled that up for you to reference. Let me look at, if we could pull up
15.
Exhibit 15, that would be yes. Thank you, Madam Examiner.
Oh, they're doing that, Mr. Dunn, I give you points for realizing there was a B to section 27-317. I'm like, I'm just supposed to assume it's not in the Chesapeake Bay.
Thank you. This exhibit is struggling to come up. I'm not sure if it's stuck or needs to be reloaded or what, but I can begin describing it.
There we go.
There we go. So what you're looking at here is our special exception site plan for what we refer to as Meridian Hill. The site plan consists of 126 single-family attached units that are generally referred to as a planned retirement community, which we have also referred to as 55 plus here today. It also includes a clubhouse with a pickleball court. We have one entrance into the subdivision through Arethusa Drive, which is an existing but unbuilt right-of-way, so it's a paper right-of-way. We do need some additional square footage from the community association that owns that property to grade the road out, but otherwise the road fits within the right-of-way for infrastructure that you would normally associate with a 60 to 80 foot wide road. You can see that we've provided for stormwater management at multiple locations to provide water quality and water quantity control. The roads interior to the subdivision are generally private and are two-way streets. We access each of the units by driveways. The existing property is fully wooded. We are providing a forest conservation plan that mitigates to the requirements. We also provide it with public water and sewer. The existing parcels appear to be unconsolidated or unplatted parcels. There's two of them, parcel 22 and parcel 83. Total acreage on that is 43 acres. There's about 13 acres of floodplain on site. It gives us a net acreage of 33.37 acres. That describes the property.
Okay, you mentioned earlier, and I think the examiner mentioned there's a power line that runs adjacent to the property. Looking at the image on the screen, where is that power line in relation?
The power line is immediately to the eastern edge of the property, with north being straight up. So if you can visualize a red line on the right-hand side of the drawing. That's the eastern edge. To the right of that red line is the power line.
And the property that abuts that power line, which is not shown as having any development in it, what is the disposition of that property ultimately going to be?
Ultimately, that property is going to be open space. It will be mostly treed. There are environmental constraints down there, all based around the Charles Branch, which is the watershed that runs through the property. It's a fairly significant stream, and we've done our best to make sure that there's no penetrations into those environmentally constrained areas, only doing so where necessary for purposes of stormwater management outfall or water and sewer.
And was it determined at the time of subdivision that a portion of that property would be conveyed to Park and Planning?
Yes.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to prepare a report which addresses the planning neighborhood, the planning documents, and the statutory provisions which are applicable to the proposed use?
Yes, I did.
And I would note that Mr. Dunn's land planning report is in the record as Exhibit 41. And I'm gonna ask you several questions just to get at several of the findings and conclusions in your report. So, Mr. Dunn, are you aware of the applicable sections of the zoning ordinance which establish the criteria for a special exception for a planned retirement community?
I am.
Does the written analysis you prepared address those requirements?
It addresses both section 27-317 and 27-395, which are the two pertinent sections.
Okay, now I'd like to ask you some questions to address the requirements of 27-395. The first provision, 27-395A, is referenced as the findings of approval. And it requires that the district council make 3 findings in conjunction with approval of a planned retirement community. The first one, subsection I, it relates to the proposed use meeting the needs of the retirement age community. and 3 specifically relates to showing a demonstrated need in the RA zone. I think Mr. Steer addressed those. The third criteria is that the proposed use, that the district council has to find that the proposed use will not adversely affect the character of the surrounding residential community. In your opinion, as an expert land planner, will the proposed use have an adverse effect on the character of the surrounding community?
It will not adversely affect the character of the surrounding community. As we've discussed, the property is located at the end of Arethusa Road, which, well, it's also located at the end of Johansu, but I'll get to that. Arethusa is a public paper street. It was always anticipated to connect the various properties between Johansu, the subject of today's conversation, and Woodyard Road. It effectively creates an enclave at the end of Arethusa. The residents are in a quiet suburban neighborhood, and this subdivision will have no real impact, no substantial impact on any of the existing properties along the travel path. Johansu, I should note, is not being used because it is difficult. It would be extremely difficult to develop a right-of-way that supports the traffic from this site through the existing sites to Woodyard Road, because of the substandard nature of the road and the way the lotting pattern has developed for the housing, the large lot, single-family detached housing to the north of the property. You would have to actually dedicate right-of-way from those lots for purposes of the construction of the road and purposes of stormwater management to support the construction of that road, which that right-of-way is not reasonably be assumed to be obtained by any of those property owners. So we've determined that Arethusa would be the most appropriate entrance into the subdivision, and that it has the least impact to the character of the surrounding neighborhood.
Okay, thank you very much. Section 27395A2 addresses the site plan requirements, and it just says that in addition to the normal requirements applicable for site plans for a special exception, that the site plan shall set forth the proposed traffic circulation patterns. Does the site plan do that?
The site plan does that. You can see that as represented by the streets for the subdivision on the site plan. These are two-way streets that reach and service all of the housing associated with our plan. And it shows how you enter and exit the property.
Okay, the section 27395A3 addresses the regulations that are applicable, and not all of those provisions are relevant to this particular application because some relate to zoning categories that do not apply here. But the first regulation essentially says that the site plan sets forth the proposed regulations for the site, and that it governs the height of the structures, lot size, coverage, frontage, setbacks, density, and dwelling units. Does the site plan that was prepared by Soltez set forth the development regulations that will govern the site if this application is approved?
Yes, and those are all listed either in the notes or can be visually determined from the plan itself.
Okay, and then the next regulation in subsection A3B is that the subject property shall contain at least 12 contiguous acres. Does the property conform with that?
Yes, the property conforms with that. As I mentioned earlier, it's 43.73 acres of land.
Okay, and then the 27395A3C says that the average number of dwellings per acre shall not exceed 8 for the gross tract area. Does the property conform with that requirement?
It does. We're at, per gross acre, we're at 2.88 units per acre.
Okay, none of the other provisions of 27395A3 are applicable, but 27395A4 addresses the uses that are allowed in a planned retirement community, and it does require that the community include a community center or a meeting area and other rec facilities which the district council finds appropriate to serve the retirement age community. Does the proposed site plan include a community center or meeting area with breakfast facilities?
It does. You can see that there is a recreational facility located on the property. It includes a pickleball court with rooms inside the building for the residents' uses. It also has an outdoor seating area with a fire pit.
Okay, the provisions in 27-395 do also allow retail, commercial uses, medical facilities, and healthcare facilities within the community. Are any proposed in this particular application?
None are proposed.
Okay, the condition 27-395 A5 requires that the covenants be provided to restrict the age of the residents. I believe Mr. Lansing testified to that earlier. Do you have anything to add to that?
It just that the application, that the declaration of covenants with the application include age restriction in conformance with the Federal Fair Housing Act.
Okay, and then the final criteria is that covenants guaranteeing the perpetual maintenance of recreational facilities shall be filed in the land records at the time of subdivision. Has that been accounted for as part of the subdivision application?
That was actually as part of condition 8 of the preliminary plan 4-24028. We were required to establish an HOA prior to the approval of the final plat. We haven't gotten to the final plat, but it will be done, including perpetual maintenance for the recreational facilities. So at the appropriate time, we'll get the plat recorded with those documents as part of that process.
Great. Okay, thank you. Let me now turn your attention to section 27-317, which are the general requirements applicable to the approval of any special exception. Section 27-317A1 requires that the proposed use and site plan be in harmony with the purposes of subtitle 27 of the Prince George's County Code. In your opinion, is this requirement satisfied by this application?
Yeah, there are 14 different sections of that portion of the code that are necessary to prove harmony. I think this plan addresses all of those adequately.
And are all of those outlined in the land planning analysis that you submitted into the record?
They are.
Okay. And section 27-317A2 requires that the proposed use be in conformance with the applicable requirements of subtitle 27. Is the proposed use in conformance with the applicable requirements of subtitle 27?
It's in conformance with the applicable requirements of subtitle 27. Yeah.
Are you familiar with the applicable master plan, which applies to the area which is the subject of the application?
I am.
And what master plan is the applicable master plan?
That's subregion 6. So it's the 2010 master plan and sectional map amendment for subregion 6.
Are you familiar with the Prince George's County general plan as well?
I am.
27-317A3 requires that the use not substantially impair the integrity of any master plan, functional master plan, or the general plan if there is no master plan. Could you please review for the hearing examiner which recommendations of the master plan are relevant to the proposed plan retirement community, and whether the approval of the special exception would impair the integrity of the general plan or the master plan?
Well, so to generally quote from the master plan, it's to build high quality suburban development. They want residential low land uses on the subject property. They define that as up to 3.5 dwelling units per acre. We're at 2.88 dwelling units per acre based on gross tract. So that follows the recommendation of the master plan. The prior zoning ordinance allows a density up to 8 dwelling units per gross acre. So we do not impair the integrity of the master plan based on those requirements.
Okay, section 27-317A4 requires that the use not adversely affect the health, safety, or welfare of residents or workers in the area. In your opinion, from a land planning perspective, will the proposed use have an adverse effect on health, safety, or welfare of residents or workers in the area?
I do not believe it will. We're providing for stormwater management, so that's water quality and flooding protection. We have existing forests left on site. We have sidewalks. It's a walkable neighborhood. We provided for a clubhouse with active recreational uses. So I think we've done everything we can to address that requirement.
Okay, thank you. Section 27-317A5 requires that the use not be detrimental to the use or development of adjacent properties or the general neighborhood. In your opinion, will the proposed use be detrimental to the use and development of the adjacent properties or the general neighborhood?
It will not. In fact, I went into some detail on the way to access the property, especially Johansu Drive. If we had decided to use Johansu Drive, despite all the difficulties for construction and connection to Woodyard Road, I think then we would be actually being detrimental to the adjacent properties. However, that's not the choice we made. We're going through Arethusa, which was a dedicated paper street, so we were using what clearly was intended to be used during previous approvals along, as time has progressed.
Okay, thank you. Section 27.317A6 requires that the site plan be in conformance with an approved type 2 tree conservation plan. Can you address this criteria?
Yeah, a type 1 tree conservation plan was approved with the subdivision, the preliminary plan of subdivision 4-24028. The type 2 mirrors the type 1. And it has been submitted with this application and has met the conditions and the requirements of the forest conservation regulations.
Thank you very much. And then finally, section 27.
If I may interrupt right there.
Yeah.
I was looking for that tree conservation plan, so I apologize. I had only seen it with the staff report, but we've now added it as a standalone document for Exhibit 55. And I've emailed it to you, Mr. Haller, Mr. Brown, to make sure that's the one, Mr. Dunn, that's the only type TCB2. I apologize that it wasn't on the exhibit list.
There is a tree conservation plan referenced in Exhibit 32A and B.
Maureen missed that. Okay, I was looking everywhere for this plan. I can't look at the documents right now for some reason because you all are looking at them too online. Okay, so that's the one we're talking about.
I'm assuming so. Hold on, let me pull it up.
You'd have to.
And if so, Miss Ba, you don't have to do 55. You know what? It might be good. Is it okay to pull it up? Since you just finished talking about it.
Why don't we, as I said, there's, Exhibit 32A is a tree conservation plan dated 9/17/25, and B is a tree conservation plan dated 7/15/25. I'm assuming that one is an update of the other.
Yeah, let's make sure of that, and we'll call the A revised.
There we go. Yeah, that's it.
That is the tree conservation plan that runs with the special exception, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Anything you want to say about it, or we're good?
I have nothing further to say about it.
Are you going to be addressing separately from this the variance for the specimen trees, or?
We certainly can. We did file variances for removal of specimen trees. You can generally see on the plan the specimen trees as larger circles. Those with they're sort of light gray. Those with red X's in them are the specimen trees that we had to remove in order to develop the property. This variance was approved during the preliminary plan of subdivision because it was deemed those trees were deemed necessary to be removed to assist in the development of the infrastructure, such as the roads, the stormwater management, the water and sewer, and the grading for the houses. We've saved several specimen trees in the existing forest that are generally located to the right. Some of them are within the environmentally constrained area. Some of them are outside of the environmentally constrained area, and just in what we call, or what we're proposing as forest conservation.
And you reduced it to the 22 that were approved by the planning board?
That's correct.
Okay. Actually, I wanted to talk more about the impacts. Are you going to get to that part too? I'm sorry, Tom, or Mr. Howell, that I seem to be taking over direct, but. I can wait until you want to, but I just wanted to hear more about the differences between those impacts and what you presented to the planning board. as staff is mentioning on page 13, 14, and I guess 15 of the report.
So
I
I
just wanna
presume
hear
you're talking
from you.
about, I presume you're talking about impacts to the primary management area?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we did, at the time, we had, when we were going through the subdivision, we hadn't quite nailed down exactly the pathway for the water and sewer, which we've done so now. The impacts are not significantly different, but they are identified on this plan. How to describe them? They generally exist on the right-hand side of the plan, bounded by darker lines, with which are lighter gray utility lines shown in the center. I don't have the cursor, so I can't really put my hand on one. But they're there only for the purpose of developing infrastructure to support the subdivision, and that would be your water and sewer and your stormwater management outfalls. There's no other impacts.
Okay, I just wanted you to address it. Thank you.
And that was my next question, so.
Oh,
You
sorry.
just answered it. And that, because 27317A7 requires that we address impacts to regulated environmental features, which was addressed in part during the subdivision and then refined a bit as the final special exception site plan came in. So Mr. Dunn, have you had an opportunity to review the conditions recommended by the staff in the special exception staff report?
I have.
Condition 1 required modifications to the type 2 tree conservation plan prior to signature approval. Do you have any issues with any of those recommendations?
I do not.
Condition 2 required modifications to the special exception site plan prior to signature approval. Do you have any issues with those recommendations?
I do not.
Condition 3 requires that an inventory of historic properties that was prepared for this property be submitted to the Maryland Historic Trust prior to signature approval, and also requires that the final floor plans for the community building be submitted prior to signature approval. Do you have any issue with either of those requirements?
I do not.
The first condition 4 required the modifications to the architecture. There's a second condition 4 that requires a revision to the landscape plan prior to certification. Did you have any problems with the revision recommended to the landscape plan?
I do not have any problems with the landscape plan revision.
Okay, and then the final condition, condition 5, required age-restricted covenants to be recorded prior to final plat. Obviously, that will be taken care of at that point in time, correct?
Correct.
You testified earlier that the proposed development had been the subject of an approved preliminary plan of subdivision. What was the number of that subdivision again?
It was 4-24028.
Okay, when that subdivision was approved, or was the subdivision approved previously?
Yes, it was.
And is it still valid?
Yes, it is.
On pages 6 through 10 of the staff report for this application, the staff reviewed each of the applicable conditions of the preliminary plan. Have you reviewed the staff's analysis?
I did, yes.
Did the staff find that the proposed special exception conforms with the applicable conditions of the preliminary plan?
Yes.
And do you concur with that finding?
I do.
Okay, I have no further questions from Mr. Dunn.
Mr. Brown?
Good afternoon, Mr. Dunn.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brown.
I guess we can get ready to wrap this up, huh?
However I can help.
Right. My questions go to page 19 of the staff report concerning 27-568 regulations of the RA zone concerning the required number or the schedule of parking spaces.
Very good.
So testimony earlier was that the prior NVR plans provided for double garages, and therefore that of course affects the layout and the parking. And the Lennar plan, as I heard the testimony, provides single garages. So with the provision of single garages as opposed to double garages, does that impact the required number of spaces? Looking at the third paragraph from the bottom on page 19, staff concludes the project requires 258 vehicle parking spaces to demonstrate performance for townhouse. I don't agree with their analysis how they got there, but let's just assume 258 is required number of parking spaces. With the one car garage layout, will you have 258 parking spaces?
We'll have more than 258. So there's the requirement of 258, and then there's what we're providing. Under the original plan with the NVR, we did have 2-car garages. Some of the housing under Lennar's plan will have 1-car garages instead of 2-car. I don't know exactly how many, but if you make the assumption that 50% of them will be one car, you still wind up with 393 parking spaces. That removes, under those calculations, trying to make it a worst case scenario, you're removing half of the parking that was provided in the driveways and half of the parking that was provided in the garages, and you still exceed the number of parking spaces that the code requires.
And the staff noted the prior zoning ordinance is silent on the number of vehicle parking spaces. Could it be argued that there is no requirement for parking spaces for this development?
Could you repeat that question?
All right, I spoke too quickly. The staff concludes the prior zoning ordinance is silent on the number of vehicle parking spaces required for a planned retirement community. Could we make the argument that there is no requirement for parking spaces for a planned retirement community?
You could make that argument. I don't think it would be successful ultimately.
And going down further, second paragraph from the bottom, also on page 19, it provides the applicant contends in their statement of justification that an unrelated, previously approved and certified site development plan, SDP 2301, established parking for a proposed community building by determining the uses contained in the community building. What is this previously certified SDP?
That was a SDP that was approved on a different site that had a similar community center in an effort to try to prove to the reviewing agencies that we had a correct number of parking spaces. So we're using historical context to try to come to the conclusion that we had appropriate amount of parking available for the community center.
And then going to the next page, 20 of the staff report, the staff was debating the applicant's use of the principal use classification to calculate the parking. Can you clarify the debate there?
I think it was, we were specifically talking about the community center and the uses inside and outside of the community center, because as you previously noted, there's not much guidance in the previous zoning code for calculating parking at a community center. But we know, we just know that it's going to need parking. And what the debate was how much parking needed to be applied, and so that's why we pulled out some historical examples in an effort to satisfy the conversation that was happening around how much parking would be sufficient for the community center.
And the community center is proposed to be how many square feet?
It was about 1,000 square feet, somewhere between 800 and 1,000 square feet.
So for 800 to 1,000 square foot structure, the applicant made the comparison that is equivalent to a theater, an auditorium, or a stadium.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it was 1,000, on the plan, it's 1,357 square feet to be specific. And yes, we did make that comparison and based on seating, because that's what the rooms have in them.
I mean, is that a fair comparison? I mean, a stadium auditorium and a theater. Most people who attend those types of structures or events are coming in groups, whereas a 1,000 square foot great room or game room, people are coming individually.
So it's really about the seating inside the unit. So it's one parking spot per 4 seats. What we have here is a limited use, to your point. People can drive there from within the neighborhood, but they can also walk there. It's not very far from even the furthest unit. Most people don't walk to a stadium or a theater or that type of venue. Here we can take advantage of the sidewalks and encourage our residents to walk to the clubhouse.
But aren't you allowing that other community to use it 6 times a year? So, well, 6 times a year, I guess you're saying there's still sufficient parking.
We felt it was, for lack of a better term, a little de minimis.
But while we're on that, Mr. Brown, were you finished with that line?
Yes. Yes.
I just want to hear more, and you probably have it in one of these covenants that you just provided, but does it have to be some kind of approval from the district council for the other community center to use this community center? For the other, I'm sorry, for Melwood Springs?
Well, Madam Examiner, the specific provision of the code, 27395, it talks about sizing the amenities appropriately. Let me just go back to it. So I think you're referring to subsection 27395A4. And it says the recreational facility shall only serve the retirement community. The scope of the facility shall reflect this fact. The council may permit a larger facility which serves more than the retirement community if the facility is harmoniously integrated into the retirement community and the surrounding neighborhood. So in this particular instance, the sizing of the facility has been designed to accommodate the retirement community. We didn't increase the size of it to allow for the adjoining community to have their meetings there. And so we didn't feel that that the facilities were oversized and would specifically need. I mean, in other words, if we were to double the size of the community center to allow outside use, the district council would have to approve that. We didn't oversize the facility. We're just being a good neighbor, if you will, and allowing the adjoining community to meet there.
Okay, and I could agree with that because this is de minimis, but if you read it with the prior sentence, which I think you would have to, it says the center itself shall only serve the retirement community. So if there's enough room in there to serve more than the retirement community, you see what I'm saying? But since you're talking about meeting spaces 6 times a year, and I guess that's going to be a condition if this is approved. But if they come there, then maybe it is big enough to serve other people and not just the retirement community.
I would also note that the references to the rec facilities. So the community access to the community building would be for the meetings, but not necessarily for the pickleball court. So not all the rec facilities are open to everybody in the community, but the community meeting space, the actual community center would be available for their meetings, and they would, just like anybody in the community that wanted to use it, there would be a calendar, and if it's available, they can use the space. So I think that the reference to the rec facility.
Recreational wouldn't include just cards and things. It's defined to mean sports. I'm with you because it's de minimis. I'm just pointing that out. But I don't know that I'm with you if it were a lot more. But
I understand that.
Okay.
And I would only note, like for the record that, if we had not engaged with Melwood Springs and that had been something that had come up and we had built a community center and they needed a place to meet, I'm sure that they'd be talking to each other and they'd be allowed to use it. But we wanted to ensure Melwood Springs that was a commitment that we were going to honor and not just something that we would throw out there and not follow through on.
Yeah. I agree with you. It's because of your commitment that had me looking at it as well.
Yeah.
So Mr. Brown, are you finished?
Yes, I was done. Thank you.
And Mr. Howland, did you have any more for this?
I have no more witnesses. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Dunn.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So no more witnesses, and that's it? Yeah,
I have no more
to say?
witnesses. Mr. Johnson is here with Melwood Springs.
Oh, okay, great. Mr. Johnson, oh, there you are.
Good morning.
Good morning. Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you shall give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Sure do.
And do you think you can, I mean, it's okay if you can't, but you think you can change your camera a little bit? We see like you're nosing up. There you are. Okay, and first tell me your name and address and then whatever you want, unless, Tom, were you questioning? No.
No.
Okay, so just tell us your name and address and whatever you'd like to tell us about this
Okay.
request.
My name is Robert Johnson, and I live at 10408 Huntsbury Lane, Upper Marlboro, 20772.
Okay, and do you have anything you want to state about this request?
Representatives from Meridian Hills have met with our community multiple times. Not only our community, but our board of directors. And they, like they say, they recognized that we were having a problem with Perrywood and Woodyard Road and exiting the community, and they agreed to take action there. They also took actions on a number of our community concerns and addressed them appropriately. Even going down to changing school bus stops that would be impacted. So we have been in close contact with them and working all the way through, and we did sign an agreement with our attorneys review with Meridian Hills. The only thing I would add is on the intersection at Perrywood and Woodyard, it still remains a problem. We thank Meridian for providing the exit lanes, but we have a problem with entering in the community on the single lines and people passing us on the shoulder. And we've had one fatality at that intersection, and we continue to work with State Highway regarding that intersection. We have no problem with the Meridian Hills project and going forward with it. We ask that they continue to work with us, especially on Arethusa. It's a very narrow street, and the county is going to have to institute signage and other things that will help that street and the residents living along those streets safely negotiate their exit, their entry onto the roadway. So with that, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Mr. Johnson, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Are you an officer of the Community Association?
Sorry, I'm the president of the association.
Okay. And did you guys conduct a board meeting on this project?
We conducted community meetings as well as a board meeting and voted to support the project.
You remember approximately when that vote was taken?
It's been over a year. I can't give you the exact date
And
and
the
time.
community benefits agreement you said was reviewed by your attorney. Did I hear you testify to that?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't see it in the record. But if it's not in the record, Mr. Howard, I'd like to have the community association put in the record that they voted to support this application on such and such date. So, Mr. Johnson, can you give me a letter that says that?
Sure.
All right. No other questions. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot
Thank
hear
you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Mr. Howard, did you have anything further?
I do not.
Okay. Then, thank you all for being here today, and we're leaving the record open for Mr. Johnson's letter.
I've got 4 things on my list.
All right, what are you for?
A revised site plan to reflect the footprints of the proposed new units. I don't want to assume that their footprints are going to be identical to what we have with NVR. A response to the staff's recommended architectural modifications that were in condition 4 of the staff report. Ethics affidavits for Ladar as soon as the contract is signed. And then the letter that Mr. Brown just requested from the Melwood Community Association, noting that it voted to support the project on whatever date that was, that they took their action.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I think that included everything.
Okay. And one little thing, Mr. Howard, but I know you'll get it quickly. I have to keep this record open for at least 30 days after I receive an updated ethics affidavit. So the sooner we get it, the sooner we can pass it on to the clerk.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you all for everything today, and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Recording stopped.